From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up on AgDay, would you be willing to donate a penny an acre of corn? Why farmers in one part of the country are doing it.
I think it can be nothing but a good thing.
Time is ticking on some Farm Bill programs.
They may have a field that's in CRP that expired last year, or it's expiring this year, and they don't know what to do with it at this point.
Markets continue to doubt a trade resolution with China.
But the selling hasn't stopped yet, and that's continuing to demoralize people left and right.
But could an agreement happen this month?
AgDay, presented by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Optimism is high that a U.S.-China trade agreement is imminent, but hurdles remain for negotiators ahead of a presidential summit. Late last week, President Donald Trump saying via Twitter he has asked China to remove its tariffs on U.S. farm products such as pork and beef, adding that removing the tariffs is, quote, very important for our great farmers and me, end quote. The president alluding that if China lifts their tariffs, he may reciprocate in short order. Now, regardless of the short term, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross saying last week some kind of tariff or quota will likely be part of any enforcement mechanism in the new trade deal. Markets continue to be skeptical of positive progress.
Just to get in line with cash markets, we could bounce corn 15 cents. But I think the traders are so demoralized that they want to see not just an agreement, they want to see the tariffs get lowered and then the buying start.
Farm groups like the National Corn Growers are taking a wait-and-see approach to negotiations. However, they admit the potential is there, including the opportunity to sell 1 billion gallons of ethanol in short order.
Yes, I think we can get there. But the deal has to get done, and the deal has to be specific. And it's, we can have an agreement, but the devil's in the details. And the Chinese are very good negotiators, and we'll have to see how that comes about. Their internal politics are so complex that we can only just barely touch the surface of how difficult those are for their government.
Current expectations are for President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping to meet sometime around the 27th of March. Now, China is holding its annual political conference in Beijing, where leaders meet to set priorities for the new year. Getting grains exported and shipped to other countries could get difficult. Reuters reporting flooding and ice on 2 key rivers in the Midwest, and it's affecting movement of barges. The barges supply export terminals in the Gulf of Mexico. One lock on the Ohio River reportedly is impassable. That's stopped barges traveling there until much later this week. There's also high water in the Gulf and in Cairo, Illinois. Reuters saying on some portions of both the Mississippi and Ohio rivers, barge operators have had to restrict the size they're towing and only travel in daylight hours. Massive tornadoes sweeping through Alabama and Georgia have claimed the lives of nearly 24 people. The storms hit Sunday evening. The destruction in Alabama is devastating. Homes shredded, trees toppled, and debris everywhere. That's after multiple tornadoes roared through northeast of Montgomery. The National Weather Service says one of the tornadoes was an EF4 with winds of up to 170 miles an hour. It also had a track at least a half-mile wide, cutting the largest path of destruction. The line of storms also stretching into Georgia, causing more damage in their wake. And the recovery is just beginning in Sonoma County, California. A 2-day storm last week rendered 2 towns reachable only by boat. Water was chest high in some places, several feet high in others. The low-lying rural area about 215 miles north of San Francisco is home to many dairy farms. It flooded when the Eel River went over its banks. One National Weather Service station measured 20 inches of rain in 48 hours. With all that in mind and the pressures facing America's producers right now, we have something that might lift your spirits in today's Crop Comments. Cindy.
Well, Clinton, despite everything, sometimes you just have to dance. Check out this couple from Oregon. Stephanie Rovey shared this video with us. Stephanie says on Twitter she has 5 sons. They have a land payment, an equipment loan, and an operating note. But she says sometimes you just have to dance through it. And as you can see, they're pretty good. Way to keep up that positive spirit, Stephanie, and thanks for sharing with us. Taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see that, it's going to be a bit on the windy side, especially in the north central United States. As we head through our day today, it's going to be the focus continuing, especially around the Great Lakes. But notice how we start to see those winds picking up in the southwestern United States. There's a low pressure system that's going to be coming on shore, and that's going to really increase those winds as we get into Wednesday morning, and especially through the day on Wednesday, where we'll see some fairly windy conditions in the southwestern United States. I'll have more in your forecast coming up, but for now, here are some hometown temps.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
The new Farm Bill is yet to be implemented, and select conservation title programs may take time to execute. Time conservation groups say is running out. Betsy Gibbon joins us now with more.
Clinton, those groups are asking USDA to move the process along. That's because CRP signups have not begun yet, and that leaves some farmers unsure with what to do with their acres.
Lawmakers are feverishly working on executing the new bill.
Now we look forward to hearing about the department's efforts to implement the new Farm Bill,
as others are pushing them as well.
Any delay could set them back years.
A delay is not new with past farm bills, especially when it comes to conservation.
We've had, I wouldn't call them glitches, delays in conservation programs before, but the language has to be implemented, and sometimes that just takes time.
A historic government shutdown did not speed up the process, especially for farmers who have acres in CRP.
They may have a field that's in CRP that expired last year, or it's expiring this year, and they don't know what to do with it at this point.
There are some major changes. A cap of 24 million acres will increase to 27 million acres, phased in over time, an increase to help with farmer demand.
Even if we look at the sign up that happened 3 years ago, there was a high demand at that point because only 20% of the overall contracts were accepted.
As of December, over 22 million acres were in CRP. A small amount of those acres expire at the end of September. The conservation community says CRP signups need to be no later than mid-2019, and continuous CRP enrollments need to be authorized as soon as possible. Ag Secretary Perdue asked about the topic during hearings on Capitol Hill last week.
We expect all of the CRP pieces on the general sign-up to be around December the 1st. I think we'll probably be available sooner than that in continuous.
Conservation groups and lawmakers saying December 1st is too late. If a farmer re-enrolls in December, their contract won't start until October 2020, which means they won't get paid until 2021.
I'm very concerned that unless general CRP and continuous CRP signups are held no later than summer of this year, we're going to lose the potential to have more than 2 million acres that, if not enrolled in CRP and taken out of production, cropped in 2020.
The possibility of paychecks in limbo, taking land out of habitat, or adding more grain as farmers wait on a response.
In past farm bills, continuous signups began shortly after the Farm Bill was passed, and that's why this year is so different. Clinton?
All right, thanks, Betsy. When we come back, we'll dig into markets and the potential of winter storms to disrupt spring planting. And later, farmers in one state donating a penny a bushel from corn. What's planned for that money coming up in the country?
Spray for as low as $3 an acre with a new Apache sprayer. Talk to your local Apache dealer or run the numbers at apachesprayers.com/return.
Soybeans extending their gains on Monday to the highest point in a week, but the excitement didn't spill over into wheat. Here's more now from the CME.
Today, the soybeans were higher. That U.S.-China deal looks positive, and it gave the market a little bit of a boost. There's a great start for the week, and we really did have a 13-cent rally coming right out of the box. But the rally stalled just a bit, but the momentum clearly is to the upside. Those new crush records really set for January is good news as well, so that's keeping the market a little bit higher. Corn was also on the rise. That bullish news that there's a deal on the horizon, that exports actually were looking well, and even the ethanol margins were also on the upswing. So as with beans, like this trade deal really is like helping the market finally make that turn after we've had a big slide over the past number of of sessions here. Now, wheat was mixed today. That the Russia has raised its 2019 crop estimate, and that definitely was weighing on the market, and so it was really pushing it a little lower. But on Friday, as you remember, we had a 15-cent rally coming into the close. So today, the market started a little bit lower. Sometimes it feels like wheat is what's holding corn and soybeans down as well. So we're going to watch that closely.
We mentioned flooding before the break. All of the moisture this winter could lead to field problems this spring. Tyne Morgan picks up the conversation in today's analysis from the road.
Here now with Bob Utterback of Utterback Marketing. Bob, to say it was a frustrating harvest is putting it nicely. And now this winter's been very frustrating for those all across the heartland just with that wet weather. You know, how do you think that will play into the acreage decisions?
I think USDA had a high water mark at their commodity conference here at 92. I'm very concerned about the wet spring coming in. You talk to guys I got clients from Ohio to Nebraska, from North Dakota clear to Tennessee. It's wet, wet, wet.
Right.
And I think we're going to have a hard problem getting all the field work done. I think there's a potential risk of the stands might have to side dress, which is going to make that, I think that summer dry spell around pollination around 4th of July, 15th, we could start affecting kernel size, weight size. And so I think USDA, I think this year, this is one of the year, I think there's a real argument for a 175 or lower corn yield. So that gives me, I think all that will power factored into the market in the spring. And so I'm a 420, 415, 420 friendly. I don't like to use the B word, the bull word. I'm positive to 415, 420. But I know if we get there, it's going to take weather to get there, and everybody's going to be so bullish because some type of China deal probably had been passed by then. Everybody would be so bullish, they'll be talking $5. And so I think the real battle with this year will be selling the corn. My advice is you should have a lot of your corn sowed by the time the seed's in the ground.
All right, but right now there's still a lot of ifs. If with weather, if with China. I mean, there's so many ifs. So how do you navigate that right now?
Patience, which is tough, but I think you have to circle the calendar and say, I've got to have a decision made by April 15th and May 15th. I got to have a solid marketing decision on corn and beans. I think also you have to have flexibility. And I'm a strong advocate of buying in the money puts, not at the money or out of the money, cheap puts. I want to buy expensive in the money, pre-buy my margin call, and have a very strong delta. So if the market rallies, I can improve my floor. But if the market crashes, because I don't think farmers have come to the reality of what happens if we don't have a weather scare China and we have a 750 or better carryover, beans could get very negative.
All right. Thanks, Bob. We appreciate it. Bob Utterback of Utterback Marketing. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll have a check of weather here on Ag Day.
To talk with Bob one-on-one, call Utterback Marketing Services, toll free at 800-832-1488. You could win a 2019 John Deere Gator. No purchase necessary. Visit ValentFullyLoaded.com for details and official rules.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Here, meteorologist Cindy Clausen. And Cindy, it was cold to start this week. Colder than it's been in a few weeks.
Yeah, just another Arctic blast. It wasn't as bad as what we saw a month or so ago, but for March, very cold air in place. Luckily, we'll see things warming up a little bit as we progress through the week. Here's a look at your map. And while we have fairly quiet conditions in the nation's midsection, we have very cold conditions even all the way down into Texas. So very chilly air, but as I mentioned, we will see things warming up a little bit as we head through the week. We still have some rain left in parts of the southeastern United States. We're going to see some scattered snows, especially lake effect snows in the Great Lakes, but we're going to be seeing more heavy rain potential, especially in California, and heavy snow as well as that low pressure system makes it onshore as we get into tonight and into early tomorrow. We'll continue with the snow in the Great Lakes heading into the northeastern United States. Very quiet in the nation's midsection as high pressure takes control, but probably the wettest weather we see is going to be out in the west with that low pressure moving in. So lower elevation rain, higher elevation snow. You can see with the colder air and that stationary front there as well. That'll be a focus for some snow, especially in the higher elevations of the west. All right, this is what we're looking at as far as liquid precipitation. You can see it's going to be on the heavy side, especially over in California, especially in the southern part of California and in those higher elevations. When you look at it as snowfall, yeah, you're going to see a lot more, especially in California, the Sierra Nevadas, and also in parts of the Rockies as well, where well over a foot is expected. Here's a look at our temperature map, and you can see those cool temperatures all the way down into Texas where we have the 40s. This actually isn't too bad for the upper Midwest. We've seen some really cold air there this winter, and we're already starting to warm up a little bit there. A lot of cooler than normal temperatures, though, all through the nation's midsection. Now, as we take a look at the overnight hours, we're going to see those temperatures closer to zero as you get up to the northern U.S. border, but it's going to be 20s and 30s, even all the way down to just about the Gulf Coast. And then as we get into tomorrow, we'll see temperatures warming up just a little bit in some of these areas, but it's going to be slow going to warm up as we get through the week. Here's a look at our jet stream map, and you can see the core of that cold air right over the Great Lakes. That trough is going to be moving to the east, so we'll see a slow warm up through the week. But watch as we see another trough developing, and look for another stormy weekend as we get into the Great Lakes and into the northeast into the early part of next week. And another trough brings some stormy weather to the southwest early next week as well. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check out the weather where you live. Lindsay, California, rain likely for you today with a high of 61 degrees. Hastings, Nebraska, sunny and cold with a high of 20. And Lowville, New York, light snow possible with a high of 18 degrees.
It was once one of the biggest dairies in Oregon. Now it's been sold. Plus the latest on milk prices, and there's even some good news. Next.
AgDay, brought to you by Instinct and N-Serve nitrogen stabilizers. They don't just stabilize nitrogen, they maximize it, so crops deliver the max in return. Learn more at maxinmaxout.com.
It was once the second largest dairy in Oregon. Now it's been sold. Lost Valley Farm near Boardman has been purchased by the lone bidder, Canyon Farm. It was bought for $66.7 million. Now, the farm was previously a 13,000 cow operation. It auctioned off the last of the 8,300 animals last week. Now, all that's left is cleaning up the 30 million gallons of manure and wastewater on the property. Now, the decision to sell came after the former owner, Greg Taveldi, faced losing his waste management permit. Some good news, bad news about the prices of milk. USDA pegging Class 4 prices from February at $15.86 per hundredweight. That's up 38 cents from January. The Class 3 price sits at $13.89. That's down 7 cents from last month. Class 4 prices, they've been higher since Class 3 since last October. It's due mostly to stronger prices for powder and weaker cheese markets. A new kind of checkoff program for farmers in one part of the country. Why they're donating a penny per bushel of corn this year, next in the country.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
Tennessee's corn producers will donate some of their farm profits this growing season in order to promote the crop. It was a move many farmers voted for this past winter. Charles Denny has more on this corn referendum and the potential impact on the ag economy.
If we had a Mount Rushmore of Tennessee commodities, corn would be there, along with cattle, soybeans, and maybe cotton. Historically, we've grown corn to feed people and animals. But could we soon have new markets for this farm product? Tennessee producers voted recently in favor of a corn referendum or checkoff. They'll willingly donate 1 penny per harvested bushel to fund research specifically tailored to Tennessee.
We feel like that research is important, especially since Tennessee isn't one of the major corn producing states. We need research that's based in Tennessee to help us to better compete with other states.
The research that can be funded from the corn referendum is going to help farmers manage costs and grow hopefully a cheaper crop, maybe a better crop too.
The corn referendum was a topic at the recent Middle Tennessee Grain Conference in Manchester. Andy Davis from Sparta briefed fellow farmers. Davis is a member of a statewide board overseeing the implementation of the checkoff.
The members of the board are all farmers. We all have skin in the game, so to speak. So we're going to steer this thing in a direction which I hope will be representative of the farmers of the state of Tennessee, and hopefully we can direct these funds to support our industry.
We expect to grow about 750,000 acres of corn in 2019, with Tennessee 17th amongst the states for production. Experts believe increased efforts to develop new markets will have a positive impact on our overall ag economy.
When you have a checkoff program, that ends up providing opportunity for scientists from multiple institutions and multiple disciplines to look at some of the more complicated problems that producers face. I think it can be nothing but a good thing.
It's estimated the program will generate more than $1 million in research funds this coming year. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. The referendum was authorized by the Department of Agriculture at the request of the Tennessee Corn Growers Association. Tennessee already has a similar plan for soybean promotion and market development that has been in place for a few years. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're glad you tuned in. Spend part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day out in the farm country.